No, I don't know if this is a rumor or true. Was the CD-ROM
I was just going to
Were you
bring
going to
that
go
up.
there? Was the CD-ROM...
Really? Wow, you're just going to start there.
Why don't you get a little...
All right, let me take Brad's job for once here and give this a go.
I need a break. Too
All
much
right.
work.
So today we have Mike Hayduk here today, a great guest. Let me read this title: Deputy Director at Air Force Research Lab Information Directorate.
You got it.
How big is your business card? That is the longest title I've ever heard.
Yeah. No, normal size. And we use a lot of acronyms.
I was going to
so,
say, is there an... I mean,
yeah, there's
just like
definitely.
size
So
one
Information
font?
Directorate is it's a weird acronym, but it's RI.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, and define
So,
that for us. Give us the...
What does this mean?
Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about AFRL and the Information Directorate. We'll start there. So Air Force Research Laboratory, large enterprise, part of the U.S. Air Force, the Department of the Air Force. So we're part of both the Air Force and the Space Force. So a little known fact there, with the stand-up of the Space Force a few years ago. They merged right in, and we support them within AFRL. But AFRL is a large organization actually spread out across the United States and internationally as well. So there's multiple geographic locations, over 10 locations, headquartered Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, 5 international locations as well. Here in Rome, New York, Information Directorate. And if you go back from our history, we started out as Rome Air Development Center back in 1950, then became Rome Laboratory 1991 to 1996. That name, as we know, kind of stuck. Everyone still knows us as Rome Lab. Which is awesome,
It's just a 5-year.
yeah,
and then all of a
6
sudden
years,
it's stuck. 6 years, yeah.
Yeah, so 6 years, 91 to 97, but it's stuck and it's easy to remember. But then at that point, we became kind of merged into the Air Force Research Laboratory Enterprise and became the Information Directorate. So when we say Information Directorate, we're one of the 9 or 10 technology directorates that support Air Force Research Laboratory. In Rome, we just do information. So we're information technologies, all things information. And I know that sounds kind of bland, but we're not Best Buy, right? So we don't do help desk type of stuff. Sure. But we do hardcore research and development, and then a little bit of deployment and technologies, what we call C4I and cyber. So another acronym. You're going to love these acronyms. So
Love a good acronym.
Yeah, who doesn't love a good acronym? So C4I stands for Command and Control, Communications, Computing, Intelligence, and then we add in cyber as part of that. For the real reason, Air Force terminology, there's no such thing as C5I. We tried that once, got called out on it, didn't go well. So
It made
back
too
to
much
C4I
sense.
and
Seemed
cyber.
retreat. Yeah.
And also the thing with cyber is we actually pioneered, if you will, cyber here in Rome. We started it over 20 years ago. In terms of applications for the Air Force, the leadership at the time had great vision on the importance of cyber technologies, what it could mean for the Air Force and really the nation as well. So call it out. Always good to kind of give it its own special feel there. Now, a little bit more about us. So we actually have 1,200 people on site here in Rome. Our main site is just down the road from here, at Griffiths Business and Technology Park. 800 government personnel. 400 of those are scientists and engineers, so a good percentage of that. And then another 400 support staff. And a little story about the support staff. Back when the base went away in 1993 and then back in 1995, we had to become standalone. So we were able to stay here. Good news there. Bad news is we needed to come up with all those base support functions, right, that we didn't have. So things like, anything from snow plowing to police forces to, the other support services such as contracting, finance, legal services, all that had to be rolled up. So that's really where our other 400 functions in personnel come into play. And then 400 on-site contractors that support us both technically as well as administratively. So add that all together, 1,200 people, pretty large employment base right here in Rome. And I think, we were talking earlier, but I think a lot of folks don't really know a lot about us and what we do, and even our history. We're kind of that now behind the fence kind of place. But I think I've made it a priority in my 5 years as the deputy director, nearly 5 years, to kind of talk through more what we do, get us out in the community a little more facing, and so folks know about it. Is not only the technology we do, but I think the opportunities for employment for our youth out there.
Yeah, I think that might be something that I'd like to add between having a regular mayor update in our, whether it's in the paper or some sort of medium. Also, what's going on the business park, because I just don't think we hear some of the major projects or announcements or stuff like that, but there's so much that happens, and I think it's just not.
No one really
knows.
gets it yet. Yeah.
It's unfortunate that there's still this disconnect between CD-ROM and the park, and anything we can do to kind of shed light on the fact that we have more employees on the park now than when we actually had the Air Force
which is
base
kind of
here,
crazy,
which
right?
is
When
crazy
you
to think about, you know,
and great jobs too.
and well-paying jobs, you know, if people are looking for a job at AFRL, is there a standard site that people can go to, or is that also US Gov or?
Yeah, so there's a job board. There's actually, you can search at AFRL jobs board where we post all our jobs, and that's an much easier system to navigate than the USA jobs, which is generally not a fun site. But yeah, they're all posted on there. People can reach out, contact me. I can point them in the right direction as well. So I mean that is a good point as well. So you know, we also have a lot of businesses that support us right around here, right? So you have the AISs of the world that spun off, and AX Enterprises, and another spin-off, and it's just great to see that and to grow. And really, you know, the lab itself, we've considered ourselves, and you'll hear Edge and Steve DeMille talk about this, but really the high-tech piece of the Mohawk Valley. So it's allowed other things to grow and to, you know, I think honestly help bring in things like Wolfspeed as well to the Mohawk Valley.
No, I don't know if this is a rumor or true. Was the CD-ROM
I was just going to bring
Were you going
that
to go
up.
there? Was the CD-ROM...
Really? Wow, you're just going to start there.
That's what you always hear.
There's a
they
fun
a CD there. That's what you always hear.
I mean...
So we're going to nuance this, because I've been beat up before on other local media programs with people afterwards. Right? So we did not invent the CD-ROM, nor did we invent the internet. Right? So there's a story about that too, right?
Wasn't it Al Gore?
How'd I know you go there? Right? So CD-ROM. So way back when, we actually had some of the early patents on CD-ROMs and actually writing to CD-ROM. How you could actually write to it. It then went out. Other commercial entities like Sony went and took it, ran with it, and commercialized it. But we, you know, hold
the
some of the early patents,
in a way.
right? Yeah, the how-to, and really pioneered some critical pieces of the technology.
Well, that's something.
Yeah, I love telling that story. Now when I tell it to like kids that come in, they're like, "What's a CD-ROM? Why would we use
That
it?"
is true. I know.
We kind of dated ourselves out.
It's aged out for sure. Speaking of patents, if you can or can't, I hear you have a patent.
Yeah.
Can you talk about it, or is it still...
No. So all our patents are out there. You can go to the U.S. Patent Trademark Office. You can find them. So I have one. I'm proud of it. It's only one. You know, I work with a lot of people. I have many more. But the lab, we actually... That's a great point as a whole. We actually promote a lot of our technology. So our scientists and engineers, one of the things we have them do is really disclose the technology, register the IP. So, you know, it can go out, can be used by others. It can be commercialized. It can actually be taken and spun off into something completely non-military and used. We've seen a lot of great successes that way.
Sure.
So we really do push patents and information, you know, and getting it out there. My patent goes back many years, back when I was a bench level scientist and engineer. So I was looking this up at actually 2001, so I believe it 22 years ago or so. And it was the way I worked in photonics back then, so a lot of light, lasers, fiber optics, integrated photonics, all kind of, at the time we used to talk about replacing electronics, but really wasn't replacing electronics, more like how can we enhance it. And photonics has become so mainstream now. You talk about like CDs and laser discs, DVDs, all that operates with you know, photonics. But I actually, in a team that I led, we came up with a technology how you could use photonics and convert data like the sound we say right now, so analog data to digital data, which can be processed by computers. Right, everything's digital nowadays. It's a good place for us in the information directorate. But you know, how you do that photonically with higher resolution and to do higher speed, because a lot of the problems right now is so much data out there. You know, there's frequencies that we pick up and like to use that operate very, you know, high speed. So how can we do that different ways? And electronics at the time could not keep up with it. So we came up with a way to do it photonically.
Oh, so this is like fiber too, like all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so it actually was. So it was fiber, it was a laser that we pulsed, set up very short pulses that would what we call sample a signal. So you can think of a signal, an analog signal, just kind of like going like that. It would pick off pieces, and then we were able to what we call thresholding it. And then once we thresholded it, we could compare it to different levels and then get a digital signal out of that.
That's pretty sweet.
I came up with the same idea in 2004. My patent got denied. Now I know why.
Yeah,
you beat me to it. You just nipped me. I can't believe
Sorry,
it.
dude.
I thought I had something.
But I will say, when you come into the lab, we invited you guys on a tour of the lab. We actually have our patent wall and actually extend several walls where you can actually see the patents going way back.
That's kind of like your retired jersey numbers for sports, right? You have your patent numbers up there. Right? That's cool. Yeah. Your Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
What would be some of the ones that people may recognize that would have come out of Rome? Anything come to mind that might be?
Yeah, so I think, and I will say I'm not up on a lot of stuff that it's a one-to-one traceability to patents. But if you go back to a lot of our early history, when I can think of a lot of radar work was done here in Rome. There was so much radar work, actually, sending signals. One of our buildings used to have a series of radars on it. When that work moved to Wright-Patterson in about 2007 or so, those radars went with it. But we had a lot of fundamental work dating way back on actual radar technology and then how to process the signals, because there's so much, right? Radar works, you send a signal out, bounces off something, comes back like a plane, but then how do you figure out that that's an actual plane there and not something else, right? So a lot of that processing technology was done here. So I think that's one of the famous things we've done. We continued to a lot of our speech processing work as well, a lot of our Cold War era work came out of that. If you think back to communications work, I think one of the cool technologies that I always like to talk about is back in 1961, we did the first satellite transmission of a radio signal from Trinidad, went off a metallicized balloon. So you hear a lot about balloons nowadays, right? So what's old is new again.
Wait, that balloon?
Bounced off the balloon. We received it in the Floyd site. We used to have a site out at Floyd. And that was really the first intersatellite radio communication that the lab pioneered.
Wow,
so think about everything that goes through
Yeah.
satellite comm now, right? Everything goes through satellite communications. We did the first transmission.
It's just interesting because usually you'll hear some of the things that by the time you hear it, it's probably almost been around 10 years sometimes because it just takes so long for it to grow.
Right.
It's to hear 61, we're starting to bank things off satellite.
Yeah, I got another good one there too. Briefly touched on it earlier, internet. So back in 1968, this actually started. I always, in my mind, for some reason, think 70s, but it was actually 68, where we were one of the first nodes, RADC at the time, on the ARPANET. So ARPA is a funding agency, large defense funding agency down in D.C. They set up a program for communications for the president. It was looked into, how in the time of national crisis would the president be able to communicate and get information, from one place to another and know that it got there. Right? You can think of national crisis, you hate to think of it, but nuclear war, right?
Sure.
That would be one application.
If you're in a mountain, how the heck do you get it over to someone else?
Yeah, exactly. So, for us nowadays, it seems easy, right? Back then, it wasn't easy. So there were a few nodes set up early on. We were the second batch of nodes that were set up. And really, that program matured, went on for a long time. There's I was just reading an article recently on the history of it in a trade magazine, and there were some key breakthroughs that ended up leading to the internet. So it eventually did become the internet. But what goes there, right? You think 68 to when the internet really proliferated. It was many years, right? 30, 40 years or so. So it does take a long time for a lot of the technologies we work on to mature and to get there.
Sure, and what was done by accident or the initial use, that's
right.
That's the thing. It's like how we came up with battery operated tools was actually NASA and when they're outside the space station, that's what I've learned. I could be completely wrong.
Is this on Wikipedia?
No, I don't even know. It might have been a Mike Rowe thing, but it's just funny how how did we get this certain technology? And it was battery drills was originally idea was for NASA when they were outside the space station because there's no power out there other than to run it off a battery, and that's kind of where that whole concept of battery operated things came from. So it's interesting to know, even if it's just a bit, because it's never usually just one thing. It's we're going to take this and make it internet,
absolutely. And kind of integrate things. Yeah.
And to kind of know that a lot of that can happen in Rome, New York, and people have no idea what really happens in there. And some of it probably can't even share, but it's just cool to have a small town that has a lot of these big innovations happening right in our backyard.
Yeah. And that's always the one thing. And, a lot of people think, whatever we do behind the fence, it's all classified, can't tell you about it. And there is a good percentage of what we do is classified, and it's really cool because it supports the warfighter nowadays, right? Right here and now. But we're also do a lot of further out technologies that take longer to mature. Quantum computing is one of the things we're working on, quantum networking. Those are kind of very near and dear to my heart, and things that are going to take a while to mature, but it's very critical for not only our national security, but economic competitiveness of the U.S. to be first in that race and to get it right.
It's kind of cool to hear about the radar part, because with the drone work that's going on here too, a lot of that is having to do with communications and working. A drone's fine when you can see it, but how does airliners talk to it? How do whatever talk to it as we get to this new delivery age of drone work? And it's been cool to hear some of the people coming from Alaska and all over the world to our radar, to our drone site, I guess. Both inside and outside between the networks of Adirondacks and Syracuse, and that's just cool development of what might come over here. I think they were testing parachutes, I think, from Alaska last night. But just to see how it could, this little pit could be Amazon's way of delivering packages, or Google's way of doing whatever they do, and it's happening.
Yeah, and how do you integrate those drones into the airspace, right? And the whole picture of your pilot, right?
Yeah,
so it's hard, right? And how do you even smaller drones? How do you even detect those drones? And
that's the thing. This little tiny thing could be detrimental to a 777, and it's you got to make them make sure they're.
That is
not only could be, probably is.
It is a whole other technology we work on. So we work on the piece, how we integrate drones into the airspace. We work with a lot of commercial partners, FAA, DHS, Border Patrol, you name it. We kind of work with them both commercially and within the DoD. So we've had a lot of great success with that. It's called our CLUE program. But we also have another program kind of on the other side of it, but related, counter UAS, counter small UAS. Right? So there's a big UAS, kind of easy to see and figure out what you want to do with it. Small UAS, like a drone, like a hex rotor or a quad rotor, hard to detect, right? And then what do you do with it, right? Especially if it's coming over, a base, at the planes, right? You talk about 777, but it's just, they're easy to fly. You can land a whole bunch on a runway, and plane may not even be able to take off. You could fly them into engines. Just so many things you could do. Not only the detriment of the Department of the Air Force, but commercially as well. So that's been a big problem that for several years now we've been working on, and we've come up with a lot of solutions that are out there that are fielded to counter it. But it does become a chess game, right? Kind of a chicken in the egg kind of thing, right? Just like cyber technologies, you make one improvement, the foe makes another, so you're going to have to keep going. And so we have a lot of smart people working that, and we've really in Rome become a pioneer for that across the Air Force and the DoD. So we really are leaders with that technology.
Just add it to the list. A lot going on here.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so it's always one of the fun technologies we love to talk about.
I guess focusing more on you. Long-time Roman family's a long time. Local area. Father passed away a little over a year ago. And a great guy to the community. And parents talked about him a little bit when I mentioned you were coming on the Rome Health or Rome Memorial Hospital stint and dealing with that. And it just Mike, and Mike. You're is third generation because your son's Mike as well.
My son's Mike. Yeah, and actually, we're not very original or creative in that.
It works.
Yeah. So, my father was a junior. I'm not a third. Different middle names. We have my son, but my father was definitely a pillar of the community. Just loved Rome. I knew your parents well, and he was teacher by day. Worked at Madison Central. He was there over 35 years. Social studies teacher, administrator. Then gave back to his community here in Rome as part of Rome Hospital. Back when it was the City Hospital.
He was part of that transition.
He was part of that transition with Mayor Griffo at the time and working through all that. And he was chair of Board of Trustees at the time. So I know very stressful times in the Hayduk household as we worked through all that. But something I'm so proud of. And walk in and you can see his picture up and just part of that, and you know, to know that he contributed. He was so proud of that hospital, and even when he was aging and he'd go there for ER and stuff, he'd always talk to the people about Rome Health and Rome Hospital and Rome Health, and that you know, he wanted to be there. But they had roots in the community, and you know, my mother's still here, and God willing, she's doing great.
Good.
And yeah, my wife and I are natives of the area. My wife's a native as well. So,
and big into sports. I think in crossing, I wanted to follow up on this.
Yeah.
Are you, your son, and your daughter all coaches at Clinton?
We are all coaches at Clinton. Yeah. So big day today. First day of fall sports at Clinton. So we live in Clinton. We've lived there 25 years now. Son and daughter both went through the school system. Both of them were excellent athletes. My son went on and played D3 basketball at Clarkson. Got his degrees, came back, and all along I had been coaching at Clinton. So back when he was little, and then I ended up started coaching with school. This is actually my 16th year now coaching there. Wow. So 2 years modified, 2 years JV, and the rest have been working with the varsity. So it's been fun. And then he ended up coming back. He worked with me on JV. And then the opportunity came, and he got the head coaching job. This will be his 5th year as the head coach. And I'm his assistant, or as I like to term it, associate head coach.
And how does that go? And how's that going?
The pay's not so good. And taking my advice is a little shaky at times, but it's fun. It's just awesome. And yeah, I love the fact that, you know, I just in my job and all the traveling I do, I can never be the varsity coach. It just takes so much time, right? The commitment there. He can do it. He loves it. And the important thing, too, is he got the job at a very young age, but coaching has changed so much, especially in the last few years. So being young, relating to the players is just so different than when I was growing up and you guys were all growing up. So,
I actually wanted to ask, how do you feel, how has youth sports changed? Because you've played it, and now you coach it, and now your son's kind of doing the next generation. How is youth sports evolving, or what is that like?
It's wow. I could talk for an hour on that. Yeah, I know.
It seems to be a theme this year.
Yeah, it is pretty wild.
Yeah, so it's definitely changed a lot. So I think if you go back, you know, the dinosaur age like me, youth sports were the only game in town, right? It's baseball season, played baseball, and basketball season, football season, etc. Now there's so many other things kids can do, right? So getting kids, I think, dedicated and focused on sports, and to really know that, you know, you have to put in the work in the off season is very important, rather than going, you know, be on your phone or do something else or just laying around the house is hard. I think it's harder to get kids to do that. Expectations are different, right? So parents, you know, we have great parents in Clinton. I'll say that out. Yeah, and I've been fortunate. The travel teams I've coached have great parents as well. But there's just so many unrealistic expectations out there that, you know, my kid's going to go not only play in the NBA, but my kid's going to be a D1 athlete, or, you know, my kid's going to get a scholarship, right? And, you know, frankly, we're going to be lucky. We're going to be lucky if your kid makes the team. Okay.
All right, let's be them.
Yeah.
Here's a fun fact about me. Lauren and I coached Clinton girls varsity volleyball for a couple seasons back in the day, probably 10, 12 years ago.
I think I remember that.
So we were on the sidelines, rocking and rolling. That was a lot of fun.
What a dynamic duel that was.
And then we had, you know, 3 kids and moved on to other challenges. But we had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I do remember that. And also you mentioned my daughter. Yeah, so she coaches field hockey. So similar thing. She started with an assistant, as a volunteer assistant with the varsity a few years ago when she was still in college at Utica College or Utica University. And it's just great to see her out there and so successful. She's so passionate. If you ever watch us all together, we're a very passionate family when we coach. So, and her team won the sectional title this year in field hockey. So they're coming off a great season.
Awesome.
First time in 20 plus years. Clinton won a sectional title. Yeah. So it's fun. Really fun to see. We're, knock on wood, hopefully going to have similar success in basketball this year, but TBD. And it's a family affair with basketball. My wife does the scorebook. My daughter-in-law, my son's wife, she's the team photographer and does a lot of design work for us. So we're all integrated into it.
Hey, Morgan, can we get a name on that photographer so we can get some more photos? Thank you. We need that. We're looking for art people. Send it in.
So what's the preseason scouting look like? I mean,
so we're
competitive this year? Or
we're absolutely going to be competitive.
Got a lot of returners?
We got a lot of returners and our starters and key players off the bench. We've lost some height. So we lost some rebounding that we're going to have to make up for, but hopefully with athleticism and speed. And it's going to be interesting, too, this year because things have changed a little bit in New York. They've reclassified the classes, and now there's a AAA, which then filters down. So Clinton, we're still Class B, but a lot of our Syracuse opponents have moved up to Class A. So we're kind of excited about that.
A lot more box-out drills in practice.
Oh, we love box-out drills.
Oh,
we love defense. We love box-out drills.
Yeah, you play. I love it. Some hustle basketball.
I'm an old school coach, right? Yeah, I think it's going to be good. I think we're going to be able to put up a lot of points this year. So it's going to be a fun year to watch us.
Beautiful.
That's awesome. Any now that's the school. Any double secret travel teams and during the summer or for the sports?
Every sport's year round now, right? Even though they want you to play all the sports you can. It's great, but at the same time, you got to play year round if you want to keep going.
I know, and it's where kind of the dedication comes in. I know it's not for like every kid, but I remember when my son was growing up, we would at the same time as baseball season. We'd have AAU and we'd have travel baseball. So trying to balance all those, and priority is always the school. But trying to balance all of those was always fun and tough. But he played travel basketball here in Rome, AAU with the Y and Nick Medices and Bruce Harrison. So that was a great program. So I coached here in Rome for several years as well. But now it's just we do summer league, usually spring league, summer league for our teams in Clinton. My son runs, and I may schlep there every once in a while. But.
I saw you. What did I just see on Facebook? Oh, you Syracuse game. I saw you on the Jumbotron. I saw you get a little coverage, and then on Fox News. Well,
that was okay. So as we say, so I was out.
Are those related? Are those related? Jumbotron and Fox News.
I was looking at the gallery. All right, I'm just doing my social media coverage.
It was quite the weekend. I was down in New York for work, and my wife tagged along. But all along, my son, who's always working these deals and figuring out things. It said, hey, Syracuse is playing down there. We're big Syracuse football fans. So we got the tickets and able to work out the timing. But Friday, right, Veterans Day, I'm out for a run through Midtown. I love running through Midtown. Go by the Fox set. I'm like, hey, they're doing a live shoot. So I'm just looking around. All of a sudden, my phone's lighting up. Hey, you're on Fox. And my wife's like, yeah, there's another creeper going on. And then Saturday was the game. It was fun. Yeah. Syracuse actually played well. Interesting quarterbacking situation going on right now.
They're pretty beat up in that position right now.
Yeah, they are.
Kind of a key thing there.
Why is the tight end playing quarterback? Right. It was just like an old style, almost wishbone offense that they were running. But I don't know. We'll see. We get 2 games left. Need to get one to get a bowl bid here.
Where do you stand on the Dino talk?
So
what's your theory? What would you do if you were the AD? Do you keep him, or what else? What's the other plan?
It's tough. I've been a Dino fan for a long time. I like Dino. I think he's done a good job with the program. But I'm not sure with Dino if we're going to be able to take it to the next step with this program and be competitive. With that said, I'm not sure who you can bring in to Syracuse football right now.
That's kind of the other problem. What are the other
what
options?
Are our options?
You going to apply for the job then? I mean, it sounds like an opportunity.
I coached youth football for a couple of years. It's hard coaching football, and no, I'm good. Definitely having enough fun with hoops? Qualified.
Yeah, the tough part now, I think, with the kids can transfer at will in the portal, which is probably right? I mean, they're adults; they should be able to go where they want. But at the same time, God, these schools like Syracuse just become feeder programs. If you ever recruit someone who's good, they're off to the LSU's and the Alabama's.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So
I know.
It's just hard. How do you, even if you recruit well, they gone. So how do you get ahead? So I don't know if it's all Dino's fault or if it's just poor timing.
I'll throw another thing out there is NIL. Right?
Yeah, right. Right.
Syracuse
is in big markets. So.
Yeah. They had a great booster, Weitzman, right? Mm-hmm. Syracuse kind of kicked him to the curb, right?
Yeah.
I hated to see that happen. Now he's down at Binghamton, right? He's going to infuse a lot of money into that program. But, you hate to say it, right? Schools that have embraced NIL and put a lot of money out there, more so than a Nye Ford commercial, right?
Right. There's so many, yeah. And he does a heck of a job on that, too.
You look at, I just read an article like LSU, how much,
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Like even, the gymnastics team down there, their number one paid player is gymnasts down there at LSU. Not to mention the women's basketball team, the men's football team. It's just a lot of money out there, right? And it's hard to compete, and then the facilities versus a school down south. But how do we get at least competitive again in the ACC so we don't play a soft schedule, get our hopes up, 4-0, 5-0, and then lose every ACC game.
That seems to be our thing, yeah. This is our year, yeah. And then get in conference and it goes sideways, yeah.
Before Morgan yells at me, we got to get back to you. The hot questions or more personal questions. Let's just break this down a little bit. Where obviously been around Rome a long time, Central New York. Where's the go-to spot for you for food and drink these days?
Good question. So, I will. I'll throw an easy one out there. For us, our favorite restaurant is Michael T's out in Clinton.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Clinton, New Hartford area, really New Hartford. My daughter started working there in high school. So we've had a connection with the Trumpfield family, great supporter of local teams, Clinton teams, awesome food, awesome Italian food. So we're there at least once a week or so. We're definitely one of the regulars. I'm a big local kind of guy, right? So Alteri's in Clinton, another big go-to for us. Can't beat the pizza there.
Okay, yeah.
Knuckleheads, Westmoreland. And then, you get a little more formal. Aquavino, love it. The new place is awesome. Taylor and the Cook. Where else? Ocean Blue, love it there as well. I think those are
solid.
You were ready for that one. I feel
I know.
like.
I know.
Right? I had to think
ready
through
to
this.
rock on that one.
Who not to offend here? Right? Local coffee, espressos, definitely here. At Griffiths and Utica coffee. Always my one go-tos. Right? I didn't get a sticker on my coffee today, like Morgan did. Though.
Morgan got a sticker. What did it say? What did it say?
I know. Where's
there?
the comment? Yeah.
Stay positive.
Stay positive. And I saw that. I was like, man, were you looking depressed? And they put that
I know.
sticker on
And
your
for
cup?
Morgan to get that, it must have been really deep.
I guess everyone got one today, though.
Oh.
Yeah, I always love the Utica coffee story though, and the start there, and in fact, founder Clarkson alum, I'm a big Clarkson guy.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Son went there. Daughter go there too?
No, she went to Utica University.
Oh, you.
So
yeah.
But we're a big Clarkson family. So I met my wife there, and she's an electrical engineering grad as well. My son went there, and his wife went there. She's a civil engineering grad from there. So big Clarkson family.
I've been up there a couple times. Big hockey, great hockey.
Big D1 place for hockey.
There's a nickname for the fans. Saw is it Clarkson that has the? I remember there being a saw at a game when we went. Great vibe there.
No saw. No saw there.
I'm trying to think of what it was.
We have a vowel. We do have a
Oh,
vowel.
maybe that's what it was.
What is it?
I was going to a lot of college hockey back. Would have been 05, 6, 7, somewhere in there. And I guess it might have been the opposing team. I just remember it was just a vibe there. It was fun.
Yeah, Clarkson's. I mean, you're up in the North Country. Hockey's everything.
Yeah,
right? And
it's
you got
huge.
St. Lawrence, literally 10 miles
Right
down the road in Canton. So it's a huge rivalry.
Yeah.
Between Clarkson and St. Lawrence.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
And, great program, right? And it's fun because in the women, they've won national championship twice. At Clarkson, so that's been fun to see. Fun to watch, and son knew a lot of the women on the team, so that's been pretty cool. And you can text them after the game and stuff. And then they went on to several of them the Olympics recently, so he was conversing with them. So it's fun. Potsdam's a small community, very tight knit community built around the schools, Potsdam State, Clarkson. But if you can survive Clarkson, you're a special person, and there's a special bond with Clarkson alum.
It gets pretty cold up there.
Yeah,
it's
pretty hard.
I think the coldest we ever did without the wind chill was like minus 37 or so.
That sounds about right. My one of my cars blew up on the way back down from Clarkson after visiting a friend. I got about a mile down the road and I cracked. Water got into the head gas. It was like negative. No. It was like negative 20 when we left. And it was brutal. It took like an hour for that thing to warm up, and then it clearly still wasn't enough.
I believe it.
Had smoke going in. Trying to get back to Syracuse, drop off a couple friends, but woof, it was.
It's cold.
Brutal.
Yeah, it's not a lot of snow, right? Once you get up past the Tug Hill, there's not a lot of snow because it's really
cold.
like too cold to snow.
Yeah.
But getting from here to there, from Rome or Utica up there, lots of basketball games through there. A lot of treacherous travel, but fun.
Yeah. So you're interviewing a big deal when you got to go through HR. So
yeah, I'm nervous looking for the next question here. Like, I think we already got these.
I'm afraid to go off
script.
He pulled the question, but you say it's okay, and I'm learning a lot about what's not okay for this. But what's something that neat about you that you don't think somebody would know?
So we're a family. We're a big Boilermaker family, and actually this year was my 30th Boilermaker.
Wow,
that's impressive.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's been fun. I started running literally because of the Boilermaker. Which would have been 94. We lived in Yorkville at the time. Boilermaker would come close to our house. I'm like, I should do that next year. And lo and behold, here I am later. Almost all have been 15Ks. I was thinking back through. There was two that I was injured, and one I was coaching Little League All Stars. We had we were conflicted that day, so had to get. We did the 5K. My son did it too, and our catcher Greg. We changed. We got up, went. beat Whitestown. It was a good day for Clinton that day. But and then one year I ran both. When my son was growing up, his first 5K, I ran the 5K with him. My wife was waiting for me at the finish line, busted me out to the start line of the 15K, and ran the 5K.
Wow, what an athlete.
Yeah, I think that's highly illegal. Probably not supposed to do that, but it worked.
It's your warm-up.
Not an
You're ready to go.
Listen to you. It was many years ago, but we have a great time. So we all run in our family, and then my wife and a lot of her friends, they have a popsicle stand near the Utica Zoo, and my son actually runs it in a beer can now. So I don't know if you've ever seen the Saranac cans,
yes,
cans.
I'm sure we get the photo of that. Morgan's nodding her head over there.
Yeah, Morgan's probably seen the photo. So this was his second year doing it. So a colleague of mine, Matt Cohen, at work. Yeah, so
Matt's a speed golfer. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Matt does everything, and he does it usually really fast and quick. And mine goes, a million miles an hour. But yeah, he came up many years ago to start running in a beer can, Matt's can. His name's Matt Cohen. And then he handed it off to a few people. He took it back. And now they're up to 5 different cans. And
they need one more for a 6-pack, obviously.
That is his plan.
Yeah,
that is his plan. They keep trying to recruit me, but, I'm good.
I mean,
that doesn't look comfortable at all, does it?
It really doesn't for 15.
Just
2 years ago.
Is
so my son had, and the can's actually sitting in my garage right now, but my son hadn't run with it at all. The night before, literally, we get it from Matt. It's in our drive. They come over, and he's like, I'm going to try this now. And his training with the can, with the Utica Club can, was he ran around our yard a couple times. He's like, good, I could do this.
Just a couple times around the yard is the same as a 15K.
Does it sit like on your
shoulders?
It's
padded, but it's actually pretty light. It's got a wood frame and then kind of a plastic mylar cover around it.
All right.
And it's belted to you, so there's a way. Matt, through the years, he's an engineer.
Yeah, right? I'm sure he's made it work pretty good.
So it's actually belted to you, but it's still not comfortable, I would say. Doable. Right?
Wow.
So that's the latest Hayduk incarnation of the Boilermaker. But we love it. We look forward to it so much in the summer.
30 years. That's 30 times. No, yeah, you said the 30th year was this year, right?
Yeah, so actually impressive. 31 if you count the double year. But
that wasn't too bad. I don't think HR is going to be too bad about that.
No, I don't think so.
That's pretty good.
No, that's good. I mean, everyone knows.
So they found out about the can outfit.
Yeah.
They might frown upon that. I don't know.
That's my son. And trust me, he was on WKTV with it this year. Spencer.
So secret's out.
Yeah, Spencer did an interview with him, and he's always in the paper with it. But I love it. It's great. Great community event.
It really is. And speaking of community, I would love to touch on a little bit more about what AFRL does for the community and what else it does for the world, and just the interaction between what should people know about the relationship between its local community and what AFRL does and how all that kind of comes together.
That's a great question. I always love talking about that. So our folks are very involved in the community. Whether it's youth activities, sitting on boards, STEM activities. That's one thing I like to point out. We have a really strong STEM program that we do at the lab. So our partner, Griffiths Institute, helps us with the STEM programming. They do great STEM programming for us. But our scientists, our engineers, and a lot of our young military take part in it and actually help teach the classes. A lot of times it's like a week-long class during the summer, or it might be an event during a break that our folks go help out with that. So STEM, obviously, we like to say all STEM is local. So getting kids engaged early, keeping them engaged, and hopefully they'll want to go out, even if it's not coming back working for us, but just to go out and have a career in STEM and at least show folks and kids what it's like. I think is really important as well. And then, tied with that kind of triggered a thought, the Invention Advancement Center. So the stand-up of that just down the road here and just literally across the street from us has been really big in terms of engaging the community more in STEM. The CEO there, Heather Hage, has just done an amazing job with what she's been able to do with the Griffiths Institute. They're a partnership intermediary. So Invention, the way it was set up, and just great vision by the county and some of our local partners, and City of Rome never would have happened without Mayor Izzo, Tony Pacenti, Joe Griffo with state money, county money. State and county put in about $15 million to make it happen. But it's been paying off huge dividends. We house our summer students there. We have several programs there. We have what we call hard-walled laboratories and quantum computing and networking, other types of computing, other types of communications that we work on there, drone technologies. We're able to bring in, what we like to call some of our international partners, our non-traditional partners, those folks that can't easily get inside our security perimeter, They can get in, but it just takes a long time. But having our folks work side by side with them, work on technologies that once they're mature, we can pull inside our facilities, further mature, and then hopefully operationalize in the future. But, that's just a great community place for us, a great way to really get the technology out, and it's just so much fun over there. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our partner then across the street, Nice Tech as well. They're a big part of all that goes on there as well. So it's been fun seeing this kind of tech ecosystem grow here the last 5 years or so.
And what do you need? What is through the years? I feel like there's been these close calls. Losing the base was one of those things. It could have been our base. It could have been a couple others through the country back in '93. I mean, just a huge uncertainty.
Yeah.
What kind of what does the Air Force look at when keeping labs open, keeping locations open? What does the area need to do, or what has to happen locally in order for us to keep this momentum going? In what is it? Is it just don't really have a choice, or is there things that the community can do, or the politicians, or whatever it is, or even development that keeps it kind of open?
Those are all great questions. And I'll paraphrase our director now and commander, Colonel Garcia. So he's been in the Air Force nearly 30 years now. He's been a lot of different places. And when he came here almost 3 years ago, we told him, and I was telling him, it's great community partnerships here. You're going to love it. You're going to meet this person, that person. And he kind of nodded his head. But when he saw what Rome is like and the partnerships and the support that we have here, because we really are, kind of a big fish, little pond here, as opposed to if you're at a Wright-Patterson or Kirtland or an Eglin or, some other large base where, there may not be the focus on the entity there. And the lab really is important to our economy. We already talked about it. That has an impact of $500 million if you go over the 5-county area that's measured every year. So the latest data showed, I think we're at about $511 million of economic impact. So it means a lot. And I think what's happened here in Rome the last several years has been great in terms of just the revitalization of the business park and really integrating it into the community. So the housing has been huge. As we make things more walkable here, I think that's going to become more and more important. Hopefully the Y will get up and going. I think it's been a big push to, make things enticing for our local people to live here. And not only civilians that live here, because they're spread out, a lot of different areas, making it enticing for people to live in Rome, but also our military, right? When they come in, a lot of them are young lieutenants just out of college, up to Colonel Garcia, very senior. Make it enticing for them so there are good housing options, there are good facilities, great healthcare system, all those things that make people want to come here and feel welcome. So I think that's been really good. That's been important. The partnerships, the support for the lab. A lot of times when we have visitors that come into the lab, we'll set up a community roundtable, and we'll have our political leaders there, some of our other leaders, and just a chance to sit down, whether it's a 4-star general or a person high up in the Department of Defense, and just talk about the community. And everyone is always so struck on the local support here and how truly genuine it is. And that means a lot to us and means a lot to people. So having that's important. And then we have to do our part inside the fence, right, and keep developing and delivering that technology to show our value to the Air Force. And there's no doubt we're in a sweet spot, right, doing information technologies. We always like to say that's really cool that we ended up in that area because it moves so fast, right? And obviously things like cyber technologies or cell processors.
What about AI for the algorithms?
AI, ML, quantum, right? All that stuff moves quickly, and it makes it fun to work on. But it also means we have to turn things quick and get it out to the warfighter.
I had a follow-up for that community thing. The makeup, and maybe this gets too specific with what's there, but the makeup of your staff of 1,200, young, old, like what is the main recruiting item? Like, because obviously if you have more families in an office, it's a different goal for the community than if you're having the ones come out of college or 2,500 not with a family but want something to do. What's the makeup? What would be the next supporting factor that Rome should concentrate on looking at what the community is?
It's the Starbucks.
I mean,
that had to help.
No, actually, there's one really good thing that I didn't mention. I mentioned the housing, but right along with that is childcare.
Oh yeah, we've been chatting about that a lot.
We talk about Chamber of Commerce, right? It's just big. It's not only for us at the lab, not only for the park, right? Rome, Utica, Mohawk Valley, New York State. It's just such a huge problem, if you will. So hopefully there's some good news out there, a new center coming in. But yeah, I think that's really important.
That's pretty high. Okay.
You know, not only for our military is it's really important for our military because they're coming in here cold, right? So, you know, if have families here, you're here, all right, you know that, all right, you're going to need childcare, you know, 9 months down the road so you can get your name on the list.
Right. Oh,
military, okay. You know, they're coming in cold, right? And they need spots now.
Right.
So that's a challenge. And hopefully, you know, I think if there's one thing I could do, wave a magic wand, would be to, you know, continue to improve childcare. Okay. In this area.
How is the recruiting process right now? Are you pretty well staffed? Do you feel comfortable, or are you always looking for?
Well, we're always looking for more people.
Okay.
And it was pretty cool. I was actually last week down in New York City at City College in New York. So, you know, we don't do a whole lot of recruiting in New York City. We've tried to make some inroads there, but, you know, kind of an untapped market for us, if you will, even though a lot of those kids that we talk to and work with, you know, have never been outside the city. But getting them up here, we actually did. Last spring, we did a bus trip for them. So the school chartered a bus, brought about 40 students and faculty to come see what Rome is like. They spent the day with us, and we got some full-time employees out of that. We got some student interns, and we got some summer faculty. So, yeah, it's a tight market out there. And the technologies we're working, AI, machine learning, cyber, quantum, communications, all those are hard people to find and in high demand. So, you know, we're always looking for people because we do get some turnover. And also, you know, the way to answer your other question, the makeup of our workforce, right? There's a lot of baby boomers that are retiring, kind of aging out, not atypical of the workforce right now. So bringing people in, we've had a big push since I've been the deputy director to make sure we track that and backfill those folks. And then also try and find kind of mid-level people with, you know, some experience too. So you don't have all junior people, you know, maybe you can have some experienced people to kind of bridge some of that gap as you lose the experience as well. But, you know, we do actually pretty good here in Rome because we have at the lab great problems that we're working on, you know, sense of purpose for national security. And, right, it's a great area to live in. It might be hard to get people here initially, but once they're here, a lot of times we find they're hooked.
That's awesome. And in the makeup, are they mostly on site for
yeah, mostly. Most of our folks are on site. We're flexible, right? We definitely have a high degree of flexibility with teleworking arrangements, AFRL as a whole. We have flexible work hours. So, you know, it's been kind of reflective where we are as a society. But, you know, obviously, if you're working on classified programs, you need to be here on site.
Sure.
Site support, you need to be here on site. But lots of flexibility, and we certainly preach that as well.
That's awesome.
Great.
You got anything else over there, Wesley?
I don't know. I'm scared to go off the script. I mean, we're really
we know where to
dancing
find you
with the devil right now. I don't know.
I know. Honing in. Our goal's working. No.
Lots of black SUVs follow me home after this, so I'm gonna cut it there.
Anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah,
just kind of
open mic now.
Open mic. Whatever.
Yeah, no.
Anything
thanks.
that we missed?
Well, I will say, you know, kind of links into our. Thanks for all the great coverage you give the lab at the Sentinel and Sentinel Media. It's awesome to see articles. We our head of public affairs here in Rome, Mark D'Onofrio, who screened these questions. So Mark does a great job taking care of us.
Hi, Mark.
Shout out to
also,
Mark.
He does an awesome job just putting articles out there, and you guys are always picking them up.
Absolutely.
And just, you know, that's our goal, is to get the word out and what we're doing. Not only the awesome technologies, but, you know, kind of put a face to it as well, and a people aspect as well. So thanks for all the coverage you're doing, and just awesome.
Absolutely. And we're really hoping to expand on that. Like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, that we have some newsletters coming out that even if we have something that's business park oriented.
Business park
man, there's like a swear jar, right?
There it is again, Brad.
I'm trying. But anyway, I do think, and I'll put it on a mission for even Q1 of next year, we really got to work on some sort of maybe even a page, maybe a newsletter, whatever it is, because this is not told enough on the business park. I think there's a lot of job opportunities that people don't know about. I think what's the mean? Isn't it almost 95,000?
Yeah,
it was
around 100,
somewhere around there for a mean salary on the business park. I mean, the technology that's coming out of here, the flexibility. I mean, I think that's all here. You don't have to go to Silicon Valley. You don't have to go to New York. It's almost like a tech park in its own that's starting to form here.
Right.
That's cheaper to live. You still get paid very well. and you're working on some serious stuff.
Exactly.
And I think that's got to be told more.
And
that's why I've been here.
And no
forever.
traffic.
No traffic. Yeah, that's right. That's right. People get upset at those traffic circles. Gotta wait a couple cars.
Still waiting for the webcam to go up, just for entertainment purposes. But Mike, I appreciate you coming on. It was great talking. We hope to do more.
Thank you,
Cheers,
sir.
Brad.
Reach over
Wes,
there.
Thank you.
Sir Bradley.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Again.
guys.